Yo, welcome here everyone. This is Creatively Forward and Up. You know how it is. Listen, I just wanted to say this. Right now with the energy that's going on in the planet, it's amazing in some ways and declining in some ways and well, let me say it like this. Energy is energy, good or bad. And the situation that occurred recently with George Floyd, it's a collective of feelings built up over time. So when that wasn't just like, just a situation that just happened. This guy was feeling this rage. Yeah, this white rage in a sense of, a racist white rage because what I want to say is that I know what I'm going to get to in a minute. I'm going to say in a minute. But this racist white rage that this guy was feeling is a collective of other people's rage and all coming together, because if this man was alone in the planet and feeling the way he was feeling and just did something about it, I don't think, he would have people on his side the way he has got some people on his side. Because, I mean, even when he goes to prison, if he does, wherever he goes, there's going to be that wing of people who will celebrate his legacy. They would call it a legacy. But what we're dealing with here is extremes. We've got pro areas. We've got pro whites, we've got pro blacks, pro Chinese, pro Asians, Indians, and with that, that's why there's no middle ground and no understanding of who we are when we get together, when we mix. So there's a thing like an envious thing, just like children when they see someone, one of their siblings, get something that they never got. This is being built up over time in history, a certain behavior, a certain attitude towards seeing somebody else have something that you don't have. And not saying that because I don't feel that this man may feel, that we as a race have something that he don't have. But what I guess it is, when we are ambitious as a person, when you're strong as a person, when you are thriving and you've got a voice and you know, you've got something to say and you're not being submissive, this winds up another side, especially when you're supposed to be seen as an inferior race. So whenever somebody comes out vibrant, like from the black race, yeah, and they speak their mind and they say something, or they might even be upset about something, it's like how I feel where this guy's coming from is like this man shouldn't speak. He shouldn't have a voice. He shouldn't do anything. But anyway, moving on, because we all know how it all goes in some ways of the racism. And I don't really want to just be here talking about racism because this is just something that is just ongoing round and round and round and round. And will it ever get healed in our time? There will be something in time ahead that will think, what was wrong with this race? Why, when it does happen, why wasn't this fixed long time ago? The intelligence, the divine intelligence, will you know, will figure this out in some ways. And we just think those people in the past were quite backward, the way that they behave towards each other, because you'll realize that actually we need each other, you know. And some people, when as soon as I say that statement, we don't need you, there's a sensitivity inside each of us that triggers when we say things. It just sets you off, and that's based on our prejudices and stuff like that. So when we hear things like things that we don't want to hear, all right, especially if you feel like someone's talking against you, it's always going to be, something that you can't accept. And acceptance is something that we must all learn. We must all have a responsibility and of having it. And these are things that we all learn. None of us is perfect, and we grow to that. I think we're working towards that in some ways. And what I wanted to say, what drove me coming on to this, is that being out after this situation, you know, I was really quite hurt and stuff. I am still in some ways, but I'm trying to channel that energy into something positive, because always when something happens out of this, creativity just like fireworks, it just comes out. You know, like in any nation, any country, in any, as much as you are allowed to express, if you can express, because sometimes some things are suppressed, so they don't get a chance to express the way they want to. But then when people liberate themselves and they come out in whatever way, when they speak out, when they do some art, when they do some poetry, it needs to come out some way. In my previous video, that was my voice. That's how I felt at the time, because this is what we walk around with sometimes, when based on perception, based on attitude, based on how people don't realize they make you feel inside. And you have to always get rid of it. You always have to like bounce it off. You always have to start again. For many of us, some of us, in a way, talk about privilege, can walk out and feel defended by this society. Feel like, I am safe and nothing ain't gonna touch me. Only times I might feel a bit threatened is the enemy. And who is the enemy? Who are you creating as the enemy? Do you know what I mean? Because we should all feel safe that the police are here for us. But as a black race, when we walk out, we can also see them as the enemy. Because they're not always here to serve and protect us. They're here to fight against us. But anyway, again, I can get myself pulled back in based on that. But we need to get onto a frequency. This is what I want to talk about, is frequencies of all the things that are being sent to us. We need to not get trapped in our minds and not forget that love is important in our heart. And when I talk about love, I'm not talking about this like some sappy, happy, pappy, puppy love. No, I'm talking about love as a vibration, as a frequency. Because when you feel love, that feeling when you meet someone, how it makes you feel, or that person even speaks to you, and you didn't realize they would, and like when you meet someone, or when you're in love, even that vibration, when you love your child, when you love your animal, your pet, that love vibration, when someone misses you, or you walk through the door and you realize how much you was missed and how much you missed everybody else. When you feel good about those things, when you do something and you express it and people love it, love that kind of vibration, on that frequency. When you love where you are, what you have, when the sun shines and it rains on you. Do you know what I mean? That kind of love. And if we can keep on propelling and momentum on that kind of love, and have a love for everything and everyone, then we can move forward. There's no point pinpointing on things that, whoa, this guy was a criminal, he was this and he was that. This is just like, we're forgetting what actually just happened. It happened, and people have always making mistakes. This the guy that done it, the police officer, he's made a big mistake. And I'm sure maybe he feels, or maybe he doesn't. But that will be saying that he is not even a human. When we see a physical person, with eyes, when he was doing what he was doing, he was feeling something negative, whatever. Yeah, it was bad, it was really horrible, but it was an energy, driven. Maybe he's halfway done that before and sat in the bar and said, next time I'm going to do that again, I'm going to do it properly. You can see that the energy, you can't dismiss energy when you read it, especially when you're engaged and you know how energy works. Now, I'm so sensitive to the planet and I can feel things. I'm sensitive to what people, when you go through situations, it makes you more sensitive, and your ego kind of, feels things, your voice inside you, and you've got to always repair that voice and say, well, this situation is not the same situation. This situation, inner voice, we can heal this one. We can have another go at this. Sometimes you might have failed at something and failed really bad, and you don't want to go and do it again, but you don't know until you try it again. And you just feel, something's against me, or something's this and something's that. That something is you. That inner you, that voice that actually you start feeling a lack. So when you start feeling that lack and not going out with a courageous heart into it, then you will feel it. Okay, we all know this, yeah? And I'm saying this and I'm bringing it to the platform because even when I look back at this video, I can remember these things to help me. I'm saying these things. This is what we do as a humanity, alright? I'm gonna say a humanity poem that I wrote while I was in the park. I was doing some yoga and some meditation just to ground myself based on what was happening around us. And while I was out there, I was in the park, you know, Chinese guy. He could be Chinese, I could get that wrong. He could be Vietnamese, he could be Cantonese. You know, he was an Asian guy. Gave me the thumbs up. I gave him the thumbs up, but it was always like this little, ooh, should I say something? You know, it's always because I like to be making sure that people feel that I'm not a threat. I don't like that feeling to walk around and make people, because people do that. They react on a certain, especially now with this whole COVID thing as well. People are doing it more and making it more obvious that we don't like you or something about you, or you know. But right now in the media, where Chinese people and black people are getting it really hard. If it's not Chinese, it's always the Asian people, you know, like people from Afghanistan or people from India or people from, do you know, it's always going to be like, but it's never as, let's not talk about comparing the levels of how it feels for the black race as well, because we know this, you all know this, you know this, I know this, all right? But what I want to get to is, you know, when a child does something wrong, like, or you amongst your friends or amongst people that you know, like really bad, if you feel something, you really, really bad, you then start to begin to feel the guilt and the you know, what's happened, especially if there's been a reaction towards it being caught. Actually, it's the actual thing is that being caught, all right? And when it's witnessed, you as a nation, as a people, whoever's in that group or at a time, like in the school, if someone's done something really bad, everyone kind of talks about it and kind of like thinks, oh, that is going on right now, you know. Oh my God, am I that bad? Could I be, you know? And you don't feel like you walk out today. There's people who are actually got a heart. There is humanity. There is humans. There is feelings. You know, there is love and there is joy and there is actually, there's a word I want to say and I can't think of it, but it's just like when you just feel something that you realize that you're not as bad. You realize yourself, you reflect and you start thinking about yourself. Yeah, it's a kind of type of reflection. But this humanity thing I'm talking about, people, they talk to you now. They want to, sometimes in some situation. I had a situation today. It's a situation, I'm just chilling, I'm doing my yoga and stuff, and I'm lying there. Someone talks to me, kind of, you know, lying there on her mat as well, having a little conversation, harmless, you know, and it's this whole disengagement with each other. That's what I realized. It's this disengagement, and then when there is engagement, we talk. But when there's sometimes like we forget what humanity is about. Humanity is based on what we're talking about today. So I'm going to say humanity so many times. But we come together and we start to realize what is really important. Yeah? And I need to turn down my food because, oh, hold on a minute. Yeah. So what's really important is knowing that love is important and connection is important. Yeah. And I know that you all have it in you, but we get to a place where this is what I wanted to say. This thing that I'm holding in my hand is quite dangerous. You know, that we realize sometimes when we're on our social media too much that, ooh, let me calm down, let me slow down, let me get off of this, when too much things are coming in and it's clouding up our head and messing up our head. You know, messing up our head, it just feels heavy. Until we get out and we start breathing and we're walking, we're cycling, we're feeling where we're supposed to be. Yeah? But then Have you noticed when people start getting back out on the road again, people are shouting at each other, screaming at each other in traffic rage? It's all starting again. And what is that? It's the technology. So we need to find a balance. I'm not saying that it's all bad, because it works. It works to some degree, but there is limits to some things, you know. Nature is limitless, but the technology, your battery runs out. There's a reason for that. Okay? When your phone's dead, it's dead. But when we die, we move on to nothing dies with us. We only transform. Yeah? So the point that I wanted to make is, it's a lot of points within a point, within this whole thing, but it's about vibration. It's about knowing that not everyone, I need to get this out. In every culture, you're always gonna get the pro this, the pro that. They're gonna be right against you. Maybe your own family members are like, oh, them people don't like them. That religion don't like it. This person, that person don't like them. But you might deep down in yourself think differently. You know, you might come out more liberal. You might be so tied to the Bible, and someone who's never ever been out and been educated in a school, or, you know, in that kind of way, like you would say the West or whatever it is. But we can learn from both sides. It's the same thing, middle ground. The KKK or the pro-black movement, the Black Panthers, yeah? We can all learn from each other and find middle ground and find humanity. So, anyway, I could probably go on so much, but this is what I want to share with you. And this is my poem that I wrote today, and it's called Humanity. Alright? So forgive me if there's any slip-ups, because it's literally just on my paper. I just literally wrote it, and yeah, here we go. So, to me, this is what I've got out of my head. Humanity. Humanity is being in the parks. Humanity is family. Humanity is connection. Humanity is consuming veg, grains, and fruit. Humanity is feeding from the heart. Humanity is recognizing that we all have a right to live. Humanity, from your heart to give. Humanity, thankful when you receive. Humanity is community. Humanity is giving others space when it needs to be. Humanity is humanity. Humanity is human. Humanity is where we learn how to forgive. Humanity is spending time with us, with you. Humanity is learning from each other. Humanity is chemistry. Humanity is not the hate you give. Humanity is the earth and the other planets in sync. Humanity is communication. Humanity is positive. Humanity is sensitive. Humanity is strong. Humanity is standing up for the cycle of life. Creatively Poet, thank you for listening. Subscribe, share. This is really just from my heart. I didn't even know I was going to record this, but this is like unperformed. I'm just like, hardly anything that I do is really performed anyway, but I just kind of have a go at it and give it a go. You know, I don't really have the video film technology and all of that stuff. You know, in time it will happen, you know, but I'm just going with nature and giving things a go. This is all organic. When you see me do something, it's my voice, how I feel. It's yoga or poetry, it's writing. I feel like they all marry with me. So forgive me if my channel seems like, oh, I do a bit of this and I do a bit of that. But there's a pattern, because I those things are the things that I enjoy. And I share with you. Quite brave, you know, this is vulnerability. Something that we all have and we should learn to exercise. Yeah? And start getting rid of shame and blame and, start taking responsibility. Love for all. Working on my forgiveness. I'm working on my love. I'm working on humanity. I'm working on moving forward. Every day it's a process. And not just a process, it's a practice. Thank you for listening. Creatively, forward and up. Bap, bap, blap. Peace. Love.